G'day, it's Kareem here on Does It Matter once again. Um, I wasn't going to make this post because there's probably a fair few people who are making it at the moment, but um, I thought it was probably worthwhile in Australia after ScoMo's less than impressive reassuring speech today about the coronavirus and the spread of the infection. Um, he has made repeated entreaties that we're not going to be affected, or that we're unlikely to be affected, and we're an island, and so on and so on. And that's in part true. What he didn't bother to mention was that we had thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of foreign students waiting to come into Australia from China and from other countries via China, via other countries from China. The university sector has been clamouring loud and long to let them in to bypass the quarantine. Universities have been actively, actively funding students to travel through other countries into Australia, effectively bypassing the quarantine. And the quarantine has also continued to remain for a 14-day incubation period for anyone registering overseas to come here. The problem being that now, in the last few days, we've become aware of the fact that the incubation period can be as high as 27 days, and that is effectively double the days that have been allocated for all these students that are coming back into Australia. Thousands of them are arriving over previous days and into the next few days, and there'll be yet more again in the coming weeks. We are smashing our own quarantine here in Australia for the sake of business, for the sake of universities that probably never should have been privatised to begin with. And if they were fully nationalised, they could be subsidised entirely by the government, which is so determined to somehow wrench even a 2-week surplus in the next budget that they will do almost anything to avoid expenditure. They are truly not just despicable, but you know, Morrison and his government are just, they're morons. They're economic nincompoops who have no idea what they're doing. So riddled with the ideology and myopia and prejudice and assumption that they cannot see the truth right in front of them. Nonetheless, it has a longer incubation period than was believed possible, which means that it is spreading everywhere. It also works for it survives for up to 9 days on surfaces, which is unprecedented. That is significantly longer, many days longer than SARS and H1N1 and other epidemics that have struck us in the last 15 or 20 years. It is incredibly infectious. It is very easy to catch. It is one of the most infectious flus they've ever seen. And our quarantines are completely useless because they were based on the wrong data. 45 people who were tested negative for the coronavirus on the Diamond Princess, upon release, later became sick with the coronavirus. So clearly, at some point, they have been infected by either the people still around them who were asymptomatic, or later by unknown people in the population who were also asymptomatic but infected. It means that infected peoples are probably all over the place and undetected, unknown, and spreading the disease at an incredible rate, an exponential rate. In light of that, I think it would be wise for most of my fellow Australians to consider stockpiling flour, rice, things, non-perishable foods. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pack your fridge with too many perishables. But I think that there may be significant economic downturns because of this. If enough people get sick, we won't be allowed to leave our homes in large numbers. We won't be allowed to gather in large numbers. And as a result, we need to make absolutely sure that we all have enough food and water. Now, I sincerely doubt the power will go off or the water will stop flowing through the taps. Probably a good idea to get a few litres of bottled water just in case. But essentially, it's going to be food that's the big issue, and sanitary goods for ladies, and things that can run out very quickly. That we use a just-in-time method of shopping in Australia and across most of the world, which means that most supermarkets don't have more than 3 or 4 days of stock at any one time. So if more likely when they start running out, because the massive factory closures across China and soon probably across India and other suppliers as well, they're going to not be able to stock as much. The giant warehouses they built here will empty very, very quickly. So it's I wouldn't suggest panicking, but the CDC in America today has just announced that people should take it seriously and that people should perhaps keep some water, buy some extra water and some extra non-perishable foods. I think in light of the fact that they're suggesting that people take it a little more seriously, because they're basically admitting it's escaped into the population and they're probably not going to be able to stop it. That we should probably in Australia do the same thing and take some sensible measures. Buy masks if you're not yet sick. Nurofen for children. If you have young children, you'll need to get the child's version of Nurofen and Panadol. Otherwise, just buy generic versions of Panadol and Nurofen to control fevers. In case you do get sick, you might not get sick from the corona, but you might get the flu. It is the flu season. You might get a really bad cold. You might get pneumonia anyway from some other source. Respiratory illnesses are dangerous nonetheless. So with hospitals, probably full of lots of infected people, it might be a better option to stay at home so as not to infect anyone else if you're also infected, unless you're very ill, and you might need some supplies in order to make your recovery as comfortable as possible. Definitely worth thinking about, definitely worth heading down to the supermarket or wholesaler and purchasing yourself just a few medical provisions. If you have scripts for medicines, it might be worth stocking up on your scripts, because again, chemists and medical stockists will be hit pretty hard, and they may be very busy making and compounding other chemicals other than the ones you need, in which case you could be waiting for medicine which you desperately need longer than you're prepared for. So just take into account your medical supplies, your food, maybe water, though I doubt that will be necessary. I'm going to buy a ton of coffee and tea because I can't do without those. And they announced also that if you like drinking Diet Coke, which I don't mind a reasonable amount of, then the sweeteners they use for that could be running short soon. So just keep in mind that things that you normally would like might be running short soon. Might be worth stocking up on those. I treat it reasonably seriously simply because announcements by the CDC, but also when Facebook starts censoring posts that create a sense of urgency. I mean, that's actually out there. They've said that the posts that they believe are creating a sense of urgency about the coronavirus will be deleted, will be removed. And I think that is it's terrifying anyway, because people rely on these social media posts to communicate information. YouTube have been demonetizing videos that rouse urgency about the coronavirus as well, ironically advertising in those very same YouTube videos below, issuing CDC alerts, which I find ironic beyond belief. Nonetheless, take care of yourself, take care of your families, purchase things that you think you'll need, make a checklist, don't go crazy, but at the same time buying an extra week or two worth of food and essential medical goods is probably very wise. It is, in my estimation, likely that we may face 2 to 4 weeks of shortfalls in quite a few things before Chinese factories are able to supply us, and before also our own populations and medical authorities will be able to get a handle on our own distribution outlets here that may be heavily impacted by the disease's spread. So, not a particularly cheerful video, but one that I think was absolutely essential, and I would suggest that everyone take it moderately seriously. I don't think it's the end of the world, it's not a calamity, but it is something that will impact on us, and it's a good, I guess, test bed for maybe worse to come one day, and good for us to prepare. Better to be prepared than being sorry. Cheers. Thanks for that. I'll speak to you again on Doesn't Matter.